would you like to?
Well, I was going to jump over.
Who's going to follow Chris?
I think you should do the
Yeah.
Okay. My name is Chris again. My coming out story is interesting. Growing up, I was the child of a Pentecostal preacher. And if you don't know much about the Pentecostal church, it's very, very conservative. We weren't allowed to go to the movies or have cable. Women can't cut their hair or wear shorts or pants or anything like that. So I heard my father speak on a regular basis about the evils of the world and homosexuality and fire and brimstone. And that was very hard for me growing up because as a kid from birth, I knew that I was gay. It just kind of happened. I really knew I was gay at probably like 6, whenever my VHS of Titanic broke because I watched it so much and I couldn't wear my mom's heels anymore. I knew that I was probably gay, and I had that like oh shit moment, and I was like, oh my god, I'm gay. I did that, and like I was like, this can't be happening. And I don't know if I was more disappointed because I was gay or the heel thing, but that's neither here nor there. So I knew that I was gay, and it really scared the shit out of me because I was afraid that I was going to lose everyone if anyone ever found out, or that I was going to go to hell like my dad had said and like everyone had so often preached. And so I really tried to keep it to myself and went into this deep depression whenever I was like 12, 13, and I was pretty ashamed with myself because that's whenever, I was starting to get into my sexuality and, really having attraction to men. And that was a really hard experience. And so I was in junior high, and I told my best friend at the time that I was gay. And she went ahead and told everyone in the whole school that I was gay. And then I started receiving death threats from everyone, and people saying that they were going to kill me and that I was going to go to hell, and people would, try to beat me up after school. So that was definitely a hard thing to go through. And so eventually the principal got wind of the death threats that I had been receiving from my peers. And so I was pulled into the counseling office. And the counselor said, we heard rumors that you were gay. And I was like, no, I don't know where you heard that from. So she called my mom and told my mom that I was gay. And my dad left work, and they all came up there, and we had a big family meeting. And the next thing I knew, my mom was booking me a plane ticket to go to Exodus Gay Ministry. And so I was going to go live in one of the cure camps to rid me of my homosexuality. And they did all this behind my grandmother's back, who my grandmother has been my biggest supporter and advocate in life. And so the second my grandma got wind of it, she came and swooped me up in the middle of the night. And she convinced my parents otherwise. So I lived with my grandma for a while, and we go back to church the next Sunday with my dad. And he had all of his stuff from his office packed up in a box, and the congregation fired him because I was gay. And so now my dad was out of a job, and I was responsible for that. It was my fault that my dad didn't have a job anymore. So that made the home situation really, really difficult because we were already a family that had hurt with money, and now this was, even more of a low blow. So my parents put me into counseling here in town, and that was an experience. I realized that we couldn't afford to go to counseling, so I quickly got the first girlfriend that I could, and we were very happy and in love in junior high, and I was doing everything that a heterosexual should do. So, with all of that, with me trying to be someone who I wasn't, and, fighting on a daily basis to, convince myself that, I could, if I prayed hard enough, this would go away. And, I knew I was gay from, being a small child. And so I just kind of had to unthink everything that I had thought my entire life And so I became very depressed and suicidal, and I know that kind of sounds like, you've all heard that story before, the, teenager that feels suicidal because you can't be who you want to be, but that was very much the life that I was living. I didn't want to live anymore because I didn't want to live as someone that I wasn't meant to be. So whenever I was 16, I've been able to manage all those years with my parents believing that I was a heterosexual, and I would frequently leave the house to go out with my girlfriends, and whatever guy I was dating at the time would pick me up from the house. And so my mom found out that a guy had picked me up from the house, and then I was locked in my room until pretty much till I turned 18. And so I wasn't allowed to do anything, wasn't allowed to go anywhere except to school. And so on my 18th birthday, I packed up everything and met my grandma at the end of the street, and she came and picked me up, and I went to go live with her. And so my parents came by that night and told me that I was no longer their son and no longer welcome in their house, and that I had disgraced the family name. And so that didn't hurt me as much as I thought it would, because I was thinking, well, if this is what the family name is about, kicking your kids out of the house and saying that you don't love them anymore, I don't think it's something that I want to be a part of. And so I was 18 then, and I managed to graduate from high school, and now I'm in college and have done all of these things that no one else in my family has managed to do. And here I am as a member of the GSA, and I couldn't be happier with life. I have the love of my life. We've been together for 4 years. And I still don't speak to my mom. My mom says that she prays for me daily, apparently. She told my aunt that. My dad is getting a divorce, and he's coming around. But it kind of goes to show that there are teens that go through this, and it's a very difficult thing if you don't have a support group. So that's where I am.
My name is Richard, and my story is a lot different than his. I was raised in a Catholic home, and I went to Christ the King for a majority of my school years. And believe it or not, I don't think you will, but I had never heard the word gay or knew what it meant at all until I was in 9th grade in high school. And because I was just kept in this bubble, this bubble of you go to church every Sunday and you wear the same uniform as everybody else and you're all the same. So in 9th grade, a boy came to our school in high school, and I heard one of my friends whisper and say, that kid is gay. And I said, what does that mean? And, she said, well, he's homosexual, he likes boys. And I'd never heard of that before. And so I started talking to this guy, asking him, how... It was so foreign to me, I had to ask him, how does this make sense? And so later on that year, I came out to one of my best friends at the school, and she turned around and told everyone at the school. And that was really hard because I felt really betrayed. And so after that, I thought it was just natural to tell my mom and dad because, that's what you do. So I went to my mom and dad, and I sat them down in the living room, and I said, Mom and Dad, I am gay, and I kind of waited for their response. And their response was shockingly very accepting and loving, which you don't hear of a lot of the time. So I'm very blessed in that sense. So after that, I moved to Lubbock High, where I could freely express myself and my sexuality and not be so harshly judged by the people at my previous school. And I've just since then surrounded myself with people like here at the GSA that are very accepting and loving, because I don't at all want to go back to what I had. So now I'm at South Plains, and I'm very happy. So that's my story.
Okay, so I guess I'm going to be I'll just open with basically my my story. I'm bisexual, by the way, and like Richard, I had never I knew what being gay was, but I'd never heard the word bisexual. I did not know that that was an option. I thought you were either gay or straight, and I've known since I was very little that I was attracted to, I was actually attracted to girls before I was attracted to boys, but the intensity that I was attracted to boys made me know very well that I did like boys. So so every once in a while I would wonder, am I gay? But then I would kind of brush it off because I'd be like, no, I really like boys, so that's not what I am. And I think I first heard the word bisexual when I was doing some online stalking of my favorite rock star, Billie Joe Armstrong, and I found out he was bisexual. And I was really confused at first. This was in 2006. I was like 12 years old. And I was really confused. I didn't know what that meant. And when I found out, I was disappointed because I was raised in a fairly homophobic household. My mother is not super religious, but my grandmother is very religious, very narrow-minded kind of Christian, and so we just had those kinds of values that we were raised with. But it didn't take long. I mean, I did not question my sexuality very long. I was just, once I accepted that that was an option, I was like, well, that's what I am. That fits it perfectly. So I was a little nervous to come out to my friends because we had never talked about it really. I had no idea how Audrey would even react. I was really scared about it, but one day we were walking the park and I was just like, guys, I think I'm bisexual. And they were like, well, that's cool, okay. And they were completely supportive. And I didn't come out to my mom for, I think, another year. And the way I did that, I have a very particular kind of coming out with her. I was in the middle of, I decided that we had a really bad relationship at that time, and I decided that I wanted to start over with her, and I wanted to have a clean slate and be really mature and upfront about everything. So I just started telling her every bad thing that I was doing, and I just started having all these confessions, and I wasn't too bad of a kid, but I did have a fairly older boyfriend, so that's more what she was focused on than my sexuality. So while I was telling her all these things, I was like, oh, I might as well throw that in there, I'm bisexual. And the first words she said to me were, I hate people who follow trends like that. And that really hurt me a lot. I mean, she has come around so much, and part of it's been that I've been educating her. My mother has never really been homophobic herself. She just had lingering of what my grandma taught her. And she had a lot of gay friends whenever I was growing up, so I didn't really think she'd have a huge problem with it. But when it comes to me, she gets very double standardy, I guess. I don't know. There are a lot of things that she is completely accepting of until it comes to me. and that was one of them. And we just didn't talk about it for a really long time. And it was, she never wanted to hear about it. She never, when I got a girlfriend, I didn't tell her for a really long time. And when I did, she just said that she didn't want anyone in the family to find out. And it wasn't a very long or serious relationship, so it didn't cause a huge problem. But if I would say I liked a girl or a girl was cute, she'd close up a lot and be like, I don't want to talk about it. Like I said, now she's a lot better. She's still, I think she's joking. She still jokes with me when I say I like a girl. She'll be like, I'm not picking you up from work or something, but I think she's just joking. But
Oh, she's joking.
yeah. Well, that particular time she said that, she did not pick me up from work that night. But as it turns out, I had completely forgotten. She had told me the other day that she had plans that night and would not be able to pick. I really thought for a second, I was like, oh my God, she was serious. That wasn't the case. With my dad's never been very involved in my life. So it wasn't that big of a deal coming out to him because he's also a very laid-back person. So, I mean, he was in prison, so I'm sure he's done way worse things than being bi. So when I came out to him, he was just like, that's cool, whatever, he didn't care. But I found out later that he was telling the rest of my family that he didn't believe me, that he thought I was just saying it for attention. So, but with him I don't really care because, I mean, I'm not very close to him anyway, so he's going to think whatever he wants to think. So after I came out to, or no, this happened before I came out to my mom, actually. So I had come out to my friends, and we were just starting middle school, so we were moving into 7th grade. And it got out via one of my friends. She didn't know that I wasn't ready to be very public about it. So she told some of her friends, and some of their friends overheard and stuff. So it got around, and so I got a lot of people asking me, the specific question I got a lot was, aren't you that gay chick? And I would be like, no, because, well, I'm not. And second of all, it was really scary at the time to have people just, I mean, they said it with such a negative connotation that it was terrifying, and that carried with me throughout all of high school, middle school and high school. I found out that, my senior year, I found out that everyone had thought I was a lesbian throughout my entire schooling, and that was, I mean, on the one hand, I did wear a shirt that said I heart vaginas pretty often, but bi people love vaginas too, so I mean, that's bi erasure right there. And I only got in trouble for that shirt once in the 4 years that I wrote it.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, Bria remembers that, yeah. Someone in my choir took the time out of their day, Sharon, took the time out of their day to go to the office after our class and tell them that my shirt was inappropriate. But the teacher I had after choir, they sent her an email asking her if my shirt was inappropriate. And she took the issue of more that people were uncomfortable with the word vagina. And she has a very hard stance against that that's not a bad word. So she emailed them back immediately and said there is nothing wrong with her shirt at all. And she came and talked to me afterwards, and she was like, that's stupid. But so that was cool. But what frustrated me with everyone thinking I was lesbian, because after I became more comfortable with my sexuality and being proud of who I was, it was frustrating that nobody asked me. Nobody asked me if I was gay. They just assumed that I was. And bi erasure has become such a really important topic with me now. And bi erasure, sorry. It is completely removing bisexuals from the public space by denying their existence entirely, or negating the importance of the sexuality and negating the validity of the sexuality. Just people assuming that there's only gay and straight. If I say I like a girl, then people were like, oh, you're lesbian? And if I say I like a guy, then people assume I'm straight. So that was kind of my first experience with that. But ever since then, I mean, other than the school stuff, I didn't really go through that many trials with it. There was a lot of internalized things with not even knowing what bisexuality was and having those feelings and being confused with it that caused some negative stuff with me. But my coming out experience in its own was not too bad. And I still come out a lot to new people at work and whatnot. It's become a lot easier, and so I will probably continue to come out because you tend to have to do that. So that's my story. Anyway, but from there, I want to go into tips about coming out. If anyone hasn't come out yet and they're nervous about it or something, I want to go over.
Or if you know anybody
Yes.
who comes out to you and you're the first, that's a very important thing.
So, I'm going to read Clyde Berry's 24 coming out tips, and I'm going to go into detail a little more than he did. I'm going to skip over a couple of them because they're kind of redundant at some points, but so don't count them because they're not going to be all 24. So, 1, never come out in an argument or to hurt someone. That's really important. That is not a good time to come out because in any situation, you don't know how someone's going to react. And if you two, or however, are already having an argument, if those kinds of negative emotions are already in the air, that's probably one of the worst times you can come out. It will negatively affect you and that relationship with that person for a really long time. 2, never come out in a moving vehicle. Once again, you don't know how this person's going to react. The most sane people can act a little crazy at certain things. Moving vehicles or any sort of that kind of dangerous space. Moving vehicles are dangerous in themselves. You don't want to add that to the mix. 3, a person is more intelligent than a group of people. Come out to one person at a time and somewhere private. Yes. On that note, I wrote down here, do not come out on the holidays. That's not a good idea. You may think.
Merry Christmas, I'm gay.
Come out dressed as Mrs. Claus. You might think it's a really good time to come out because the family's all together and you won't have to repeat it a lot to a lot of people though. But it's not a good idea. People tend to be very stressed during the holidays, and that probably won't go over well. And also the environment is really really hectic during those times. It's best to do it in a quiet environment with full attention and everything turned off and full eye contact and stuff. It's not a good environment to do it. And like Clyde Berry stated, it will probably go over a little better if you do it one person at a time rather than in a group. People who are ignorant may say things initially that they don't realize are painful to hear. Remember that they are simply unaware and in a state of surprise. Some of these other tips correspond with that. A lot of people, because we live in a really heteronormative society, a lot of people aren't aware of really good issues and stuff about the gay community or the queer community, and they might say really hurtful things, and you have to be prepared for that because it's just an inevitability. And even if you don't get those questions, then you'll probably get them at some point in your life. So it's best to be prepared. They may already know. That's true, they may already know, and you might not get the reaction that you wanted exactly if they don't take it as a big deal, if they're like, oh, yeah, what else is new? Also, try not to get upset about that. Maybe you just weren't hiding it as well as you thought you were. And so, yeah, they may already know, and that's okay too. Like, I know that when you come out, you need to hope for the best but expect for the worst. So you're like in disaster lockdown mode. You're ready for anything. You're ready to fight a bear or something if they throw one at you. But and then they throw a okay at you. I know that might take you a second to process, but that's okay too. Coming out in drag is a bit much.
I would beg to differ.
Clyde Berry does say, unless you really have the right shoes. You're already giving them a lot of information. That's probably not going to help. You should be who you are, but not at this moment. You're kind of wanting to ease them into it, and that's kind of like a bomb. So, be sober. That's so important. Be sober. Do not be at the point where you can barely even explain anything, or you're going to make really bad decisions. It's very important to be sober. Don't have your lover with you. This is not let's make a deal, more surprises are not good. I know a lot of people like having the support there, but first of all, you're putting your partner in this situation that's already really uncomfortable, and that's not fair on them. And also, once again, it's not going to be any easier with someone there, despite what it may feel like initially that you'll have the support there and stuff, but it might just add on to the negative. The person you're coming out to might say really negative things about your partner, and that will hurt both of you, and once again, that's really unfair to your partner. Be ready for them to need time and space to think about things before any discussion takes place. Don't come out and then immediately start being like, okay, so here's who I like and stuff, let's paint the house rainbow. They're gonna need a little time most of the time. So if this is somebody who you love and who you want in your life, then you also kind of have to make an effort to give them that kind of space, because if they're not very aware or accepting, then they're going to need that kind of space, and you going overboard with it is just going to push them away. Be ready for them to drill you with questions that may or may not offend you. That goes back to number 4. You're going to get questions that are offensive. You may not, but just be ready for that. Sometimes it's easier to read about an issue than to admit that you're uneducated. Have a book, pamphlet, phone number, or other resources that can be called when you aren't around. There are a lot of people who don't know, so it's good to have some resources whenever you come out and be like, if you have more questions, here's some places you can go, here's some websites. PFLAG. Take a PFLAG card and give it to them. Because if they really want to make an effort for you, they will go look at those resources. And on that one, know your resources. That really helps when you come out. Know which places in your community you can go to, and know which places are going to give you support on that or help your family transition into it. it's your life to live, and you only have one, and the bottom line is that you're going to continue living as a gay person no matter what their reaction is. If their reaction's not what you expected and it's really bad, you're still going to be queer afterwards. You're still going to be whatever you are, so you just have to accept their reaction because you're still you. And you might need to remind them of that you're still you, but it's not going to change regardless of if they react badly or not. This one says it may not be a bad idea to have smelling salts handy.
If they pass out.
Oh, that's okay. Thank you. I was like, what? Thanks.
Over the head?
Zach's had some passing out experience.
There's no joke I can make that's not gross either.
Okay, so yeah. Once again, hope for the best, expect for the worst. So they could pass out. There are people who will never be supportive no matter what is said. No matter the kind of statistics, personal testimonies, loving things you say to them, there are people who will never accept you. And Chris, you said you still don't talk to your mom, right? That just happens, and
Cut your losses with them on.
if you talk to anybody who has had
Cut their losses.
yeah, if you talk to anybody who's had that kind of experience with someone who just would not come around, they will all tell you that their life is so much better without that person.
That's not said if there's not pain involved in that as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it will be really hard and it will hurt. But I mean, I'm sure a lot of us have gone through breakups where we love that person, but we needed to get rid of them to better ourselves. That's the same thing. If your audience has had that deer in the headlights look, don't make any quick moves. They're going to be processing, and having you flail about is probably just going to throw them all face down.
Flail about.
Yeah. So don't be like, "Are you okay?" Like they might just freak out, and then you'll take that the wrong way, and it's bad for everyone. 17 is breathe. Just try to breathe. I know it's difficult and it's scary, and just breathe through it and try to stay calm. No two coming out experiences are ever the same. I know we're used to this dialogue that's in the media of the standard coming out story, but to be honest, coming out stories are all different, and everyone is just as serious and just as emotional, no matter if you were shunned or if you were accepted. It's still scary and emotional. Don't plan on doing anything for the rest of the day or the night. That might be a good idea. If it doesn't go well and you want to get drinks afterwards, that's cool, but don't make that plan beforehand because... I didn't write this. I'm just reading. And then some pieces of my advice for it are come out to yourself first. You really have to know that you love yourself and that you're going to be there for yourself if everything goes bad. A lot of people are put in positions where they try to erase their own identity because of the reaction that was given, and you really need to come out and support yourself first. After that, it's best to come out to a good friend or someone you really trust that you know won't tell everybody. Because like in all three of our experiences, someone that we trusted told people, and it's never okay to out somebody. It's never okay to out somebody. That can put them in so much danger and in so many hard places. So when you come out to be very clear. I wasn't in my experience. I wasn't clear that it wasn't okay to tell people, but like I said, you should never out somebody, but a lot of people don't think about it. They're just like, oh, this is you accepting your new you. So be very clear that you're not ready for it to be public yet. And if you don't feel like you have any of those people to come out to, try coming out to your pet or something. I know a lot of people who that helped. Come out to your dog, and I'm sure they'll still love you. So
There are also resources to like the Trevor Project.
Online.
You can talk to.
Online, you can find a lot of resources if you just need to come out, through internet resources.
Trevor Project is a hotline that you can call. It's for people of the LGBT community that are struggling with like coming out issues, suicide prevention. They're open 24/7, so you can call and just talk to anyone. There's like a 1-800 number I think that they have online, and they're always, no matter what time, there's always going to be someone there to talk to you about whatever's going on in your life.
There's also offices that you'll notice on the Tech campus, Texas State, A&M, I would assume, as well. We'll see, I guess. That have a pink triangle. Those are safe, just like the ones you see with the kids. I know, like they have the 50th Street Blue Safe Place, for kids if something's going on. That pink triangle, they've gone through training, and that's a safe place for the LGBTQ community.
Don't they say safe place on them too?
I think so.
I think so too.
So after that, you're ready to move on to the person who you don't think is going to be very good about it and stuff. Some tips for that are talk to them about it without necessarily telling them. Like, tell them that you read a newspaper article or saw something on the news about a gay person, or whatever sexuality you are actually would probably be the best. And see how they react. Whether tell them that somebody got killed or just about fighting for rights, and see how they react. That might help you gauge it a little better. Once again, people can really surprise you on their reactions, but that probably will help you get a better understanding of where they stand on it. Have positive energy. Don't act like it's a negative thing. Show them that it's okay, and try to be. I mean, this is probably a really bad analogy, but dogs really react to energy a lot. If you're nervous, they'll sense it and get really nervous too. And when you're upbeat, it kind of calms them down. So I don't know, try that. Try just being really positive. And if they react badly, keep being positive. Just keep talking, keep saying what you need to say, and say it the best way you can say it. Try to just go work through it, because it's not the end of the world. So, and lastly, don't come out if you feel like it's going to make you more uncomfortable. It's so important to be able to be who you are. But if you're underage, or if you're living with your parents, and go on how you feel. If you feel like you cannot do it anymore, hiding who you are, then come out. Find safe places. But if you feel like if you feel like the person might react violently, that's probably not a good idea to come out until you are for sure going to be able to get out of that situation. I know a lot of people just are ready to come out whenever they decide, whenever they finally realize who they are. They're just ready to tell everybody, but make sure that that's the best option for you, because it's not always. In your workplace, don't come out. It's probably not a good idea to come out if you feel like you're going to lose your job over it, unless you really, really don't want to work for a place that would fire you over that, in which case, stick it to them. But if you feel like, you need your job and you're probably going to get fired if you come out, probably the best idea not to come out. So that was all my tips.
Well, thank you, everyone.